What it means to feel alive. The last time I was happy, I was in middle school. Even though she had to work multiple jobs to support us, my mother always made sure that I was happy. She always encouraged me to do well in school so that I would have a better future. My hard work paid off because my good marks caught me the attention of one of the most prestigious high schools in our town. It was where all the well-off kids were sent, and I got a scholarship to go there. But from the first day, it was like I had a brand on my face saying that I was poor. The richer kids bullied me and called me names, but I kept it all to myself. I tried reporting them the first time, but the school did nothing about it. My mother was so stressed out when she found out what was happening to me and wanted to pull me out of school. I felt guilty because of how happy she had been when I got in. I owed it to her to make something of myself. Before learning there, I never had body image issues or low self-esteem, but that quickly changed. They made fun of me, pulled pranks on me, and I would go to bed crying nearly every night. The summer after my first year, I stayed indoors. I did not have any friends at my new school and felt out of place with the people I went to middle school with. I stayed indoors, ate and watched TV along with playing video games the whole summer. My mother was not happy about my unhealthy lifestyle choices, but she was not there most of the time to supervise me. She worked nearly every day, and when she got home, she went straight to sleep. I could see that there was a cloud of depression hanging over her. However, I could not do anything because I was trapped in my own. When I came back to school, I had gained weight. They had a field day with me, coming up with nicknames and making pig sounds every time I passed by them. That's how it was for the next couple of years. The only thing that I could do was eat, which made me forget about my life for a while. When I was a junior, a new guy came to school who befriended me. I think it was because he was unaware of the social dynamics. Jerry was a scholarship kid like myself, and he was the first guy that I liked. It was so surprising to suddenly have a crush on someone for the first time. I had never been attracted to anyone before. Slowly, I came to terms with the fact that I was gay. I came up with little fantasies in my head of what my relationship with him would be like if I ever told him how I felt. He was really nice to me and treated me like a real person, and for over 6 months I was in love with him. I slowly gained the courage to tell him how I felt. I knew there was probably no chance, but the rejection stung. He told me to stay away from him. He could not have a gay friend. This sudden shift in character broke my heart, and I went into depression. It's worth noting that most people here are very conservative. They do not always treat gay people or minorities with respect. It is much worse among rich people. Things became worse when I went to school the next day, and everyone was calling me gay slurs. People were teasing me about having a crush on Jerry, and by the end of the day, I got my first beating. So far, they had only participated in name-calling, but now there was physical assault involved. Jerry was now one of the popular kids, and he made a point to make a remark about me every time I saw him. The day after school, I was about to walk home when he called me. He was with some other guys. I recognized them as my regular tormentors. "Where are you going, Keith?" he taunted. It's hard to believe that this was the guy who had been my friend a few weeks ago. Home. I turned to leave, but he pulled me back and landed the first punch on my face. That was the first time I was beaten up, and definitely not the last. When I got home, I avoided my mother, and got out of the house early in the morning. I used some of her makeup to cover my bruises, so she never noticed when I was hurt. But she did notice that her makeup was getting less. She confronted me about it, and I lied that I had started playing rugby, and some of the other guys were rough. She was happy for me, telling me that my dad used to be a rugby player at school. "Never talk about Dad," I said. "He was a good man. I wish he was still alive. I tried to raise you, but there are things only a father can talk about with his son," she sighed. "Mom, are you talking about the birds and the bees story? I know everything." I was pretty embarrassed. "Oh, that saves me a lot of stress. Just know that you can tell me anything, okay?" she said, bringing me in for a warm embrace. My mother always wanted me to be safe. There was so much I wanted to tell her, but it was so difficult for me to open my mouth. A few days later, my mother brought me a full makeup kit. I was puzzled and asked why she had done so. She said that she had noticed that I was not just using her concealer, but also her other makeup. It was true. I was experimenting with her makeup for a while. Without telling her, my mother knew about my sexuality and accepted me. She respected me enough to know that I did not want to talk about it as well. One evening, I was walking from school, wincing because of my injuries once again, when suddenly someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around and saw this tall, muscly guy who was intimidating. In a second, I was running away. I thought he was one of the bullies from school. He somehow caught up with me and started explaining that he did not want to hurt me. Who are you and what do you want? I asked. This is the second time I have seen you walking past with injuries. Are you okay? He asked. Why did this stranger care all of a sudden? Everyone else just looked away when they saw me. I'm fine, I just fell down some stairs. I started to walk a bit faster. I know how it looks when someone has been beaten up. Are you being bullied? He asked. Leave me alone, I can handle it, I begged. I could not handle anyone's pity anymore. Look, my father teaches self-defense and boxing the kids. My name is Axel. You can call this number if you're interested, he said, handing me a card. I took it, shoved it deep in my pocket and walked away. But my encounter with Axel kept playing through my mind. I was tired of feeling useless and being constantly covered in bruises. My mental health was a mess and I did not know if I could take it anymore. My favorite time of the year, the school holidays, came. Usually, it entailed that I would stay home, watching TV while eating junk food. But I had different plans this time around. I called Axel's dad to ask about the lessons, and he told me to come over. I did have money saved up, but it was only enough for a month of lessons. He was such a good guy and said that it would never turn away someone who needed help because of money. He offered me an opportunity to help out at his gym during the holidays in exchange for lessons. I saw Axel when I went there and he seemed very happy to see me. He was helping a scrawny boy, teaching him how to make a fist. But when he saw me, he came over. Hi, I'm glad to see you here. I never got your name, by the way. Keith, I said. Nice to meet you. The classes are starting soon. Want me to show you around? He asked. Something about Axel had not left my mind since that interaction. And now that I was seeing him for the second time, I could feel whatever it was. He was a well-mannered person and soon we were talking about our lives. He was also very funny and had me laughing most of the time. At the end of my first lesson, my body felt like it was going to give in. But I was happy. Every day I returned to the gym, where Mr. Turner, his dad, taught me how to defend myself. I never knew what it was like to have a dad, but he soon became like my dad. I would work for him on the days that there were no classes, and he would entertain me with stories from his childhood. He also gave me advice on school, applying for college, etc. Whenever I needed something, he was the first one I told. Things with Axel were also going great. During my free time, we would hang out at his house or even just walk around town. I was happy when I was with him, discovering what it was like to have a friend once again. It was during one of those walks that he told me something about himself. I should probably tell you about this, but I'm gay, he said. So am I confessed. He had come out to his dad when he was young, and his dad had been very accepting of him. His mother had left and started another family when he was younger. But his dad filled the role of both parents. He told me that his dad thought I was gay, but he was not so sure about it. As the days passed, I felt more for Axel, but I was scared because I had never been in a relationship. Axel was also dating someone at the time, so there was no chance for me, but he was my biggest supporter. My mother noticed a change in me, and she was very proud, begging me to introduce her to this new friend of mine. To be honest, we had a really small house in a poor neighborhood. I was very self-conscious about bringing Axel there, but he did not judge me. He got along well with my mother, which made me very happy. She teased me about him when he left, saying that we both had crushes on each other. I told her to stop being ridiculous, but I could not keep the thought out of my head. I was improving mentally and no longer eating to comfort myself. I felt healthier, both physically and emotionally, but I was now counting the days till I went back to school. When I went back, it was as if nothing had changed. But for the first days, I got leeway and no one bothered me. They were too focused on some drama that happened at one of their fancy parties. I liked writing and I was part of the editorial team at my school. There was a position open for an editor, so I had an article I wanted to submit. However, when I had it in my hand and was going to see the editor-in-chief, who was one of my teachers, I was ambushed once again by my bullies. There were 3 this time, and one of them took the paper I wanted to submit. He started reading it in a mocking voice, even though I asked him to stop several times. There was not a lot of people at school at the time, as it was the end of the day. Then they started beating me up once again. Everything I had been learning went out of my head, and I just took it. Then 2 of the guys held me up and the other one started to rip all my work apart. That was the breaking point, and I lost control of everything. Somehow, I managed to get them off me. Then everything I learned came back. I could not control my fists, nor feel any pain. I fought back, and even when they tried to restrain me, I did not allow them to. The fight ended up being broken up by a teacher who had seen everything. The funny part was that the school had done nothing when I reported being bullied. but now they wanted to suspend me. They called all of our parents and made everything seem like it was all my fault. We were all suspended, but I got to stay home for 2 weeks while they would be back in 3 days. I had no proof, but I believed that the principal had been paid off. My mother was very disappointed in me for getting into a fight, but mostly for lying to her when I was getting assaulted by my bullies. The way things were looking, those 3 guys had lied and said that I was the one who attacked them. There was a very high chance that I would lose my scholarship and I would be having a hearing after my suspension. For days I did not go to the gym or answer Axel's calls. I was too depressed and stressed to do anything. I was also very angry that once again I was being treated unfairly. I considered just quitting school because if I went back it would probably get worse. I was not even talking to my mother anymore. All I did was stay in my room, play video games, and eat lots of junk food. I would go to sleep early in the morning and then get up in the afternoon. It was on one of those afternoons that Axel barged into my room. He forced me out of bed against my own will and ordered me to take a bath. I had forgotten how he could be such a drill sergeant sometimes. When I finished taking a bath, I came back and saw that he had tidied up my room. "Hey, what happened? You went AWOL," he asked me. I explained everything to him and he listened. Afterward, he gave me a big hug, which was exactly what I needed. Then he gave me a pep talk, telling me that I should not let those people ruin my future. I was just defending myself, and the school should have protected me from the beginning. Then he told me that he thought I was very brave for standing up for myself. "You do not have to say that," I said. "You have made progress. You have no idea how proud of you my dad is." "I am also proud of you." He looked into my eyes. I found myself leaning into him, then kissing him lightly. He was not dating anyone at the moment, otherwise I would have thought twice about making a move. He kissed me back, much to my delight. After hanging out with me for some time, he left. I was very happy after the visit. I turned his words over in my head and realized that I did not have to take the abuse anymore. I went to my mom and apologized for how I'd been acting in the past week. She told me that she was not letting the school get away with mistreating me, which was good because I felt it was time to expose them. I went back to the gym and got words of encouragement from Mr. Turner. I really looked up to him and hoped that one day I would be just like him. I went back to training that same week. I went to the police to lay a charge of multiple assaults against my bully. Mr. Turner also helped me get a lawyer who started the process of laying a charge against the school. While the case was going on, a lot of proof to back my claims came to light. There had been a camera in the hallway which recorded the entire altercation. I also had text messages and social media posts where they bullied me outside of class. The case was publicized and the school got a bad name for what it had done. More people came forward to report how they had not been helped when they were being bullied. It was closed down because of public pressure. The story had gone viral. I managed to get a restraining order against the boys, and I dropped out of the school. The whole thing was a whirlwind, and I never got to talk to Axel about the kiss, about our feelings, and decided to start dating. For the first time in my life, I felt what it was like to live without being sad. We went on long strolls together, and coffee dates, savoring the moments together. My mother ended up getting a better job that did not require her to work so much. Without my knowledge, she had been studying online for a while. She did not tell me because she was afraid she would drop out, but seeing me fight against my bullies helped her self-esteem. Her new job also meant that she could move somewhere better. I changed schools and started going to Axel's, which was very welcoming. I was so excited on my first date that I barely got any sleep. I walked over to Axel's house and as soon as I saw him, I gave him a passionate kiss. I also saw his dad and said hi to him before we walked to school together. It was within walking distance and very multicultural. I was welcomed with open arms and had so many friends by the end of the day. I could not have been happier. The end. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the story. What Keith went through is something that children all over the world go through because of their sexuality. Thankfully, he was able to get help from Axel and his dad and find happiness again. Be sure to catch the next story by subscribing. Until next time, bye!